everybody for coming to the executive member meeting of the Cabinet Member for Adults, Health and Wellbeing. I am standing in for the Executive Member Councillor Linda Thomas. The first item on the agenda is the monitoring of Executive Cabinet Member decisions, which has been circulated.
I think that's up to date, Chair. I've been circulating it round to all officers and they've filled it in to the best of their ability. So I think that's as best as it is at the moment.
Okay, quite straightforward. Item 2 then, and we've got some meaty items on the agenda today. First one is the Public Health Strategic Budget Report.
Thank you very much, Chair, Leader. I'll be taking that item through today. The report that you have in front of you is the Strategic Budget Report for Public Health for 24-25. And you can see that we moved from an 18.053 budget to 18.031. In the variance, you'll be able to see how this is made up. And in the normal fashion, it shows the narrative as part of section 3. And then in the appendix, it shows the actual numbers and how that forms part of the new budget. I'd like to make members aware of, in particular, the corporate demand monies that we received for £200,000 and also the savings and efficiencies that are shown in 4. So most members are aware that there have been options of £9.1 million, which was adjusted to 8.6 for the whole of the council. And for public health, this equates to 477. For the purposes of this report, we are hoping to realise all these as savings and would like them to be approved as part of this. 397,000 for contract efficiencies and inflation. And we are comfortable that this will be realised from the start of the financial year. The other element is 2 vacant posts that have been vacant for about coming up to 2 years for a data intelligence practitioner and a public health quality and evidence practitioner, equating to £80,000. And Chair, I'm quite comfortable to take any questions or comments about the report.
Okay, any questions or comments? The only comment I would make that sometimes when we've got to find cash in the system because our expenditure needs is far higher than our income, on occasion it's cuts, on occasion it's efficiencies, and I think I'm happy to accept that the contract management aspect is clearly savings and efficiencies, deletion and vacancies is cuts. It just puts further pressure on remaining staff. But we are where we are with that situation. Any further comments from anybody else? If not, thank you very much, Lisa.
Thank you, Chair.
Is that approved, Councillor Peel?
Oh,
is that
sorry,
approved?
yeah, you want me to say it? Yeah.
Please, just for the record, and now we're on YouTube as well.
Thank you,
Thank
Susan.
you. Thank
that's
you.
Approved. Item 3 is the Pharmacy Local Enhanced Services Contract.
Thank you, Chair. I'll take that paper. Okay, so you will have seen in your pack the paper requesting seeking approval to enter into a contract with an initial period of 3 years with an option to extend for 2 years using the provider selection regime more suitable provider option to a lead provider to deliver the pharmacy locally enhanced service across all areas of the borough. So the paper contains details of the types of pharmacy local enhanced services that are already being provided. The arrangement at the moment means that we have several pharmacies across the borough who have individual contracts. So the paper recommends approval of option 2, which is to enter into a contract for an initial term of 3 years plus 2, basically with Greater Manchester Community Pharmacy Provider Company, who will act as a lead provider and provide some management support across the 3 different services that are involved: smoking cessation, nicotine replacement therapy, sexual health, emergency hormonal contraception, and also the pre-printed medication administration records MARS scheme, which initially was just for 12 months with an option to extend for 6 months. We're asking for delegated authority also for the Borough Solicitor to carry out all necessary legal formalities. The paper details the costs of each individual service as that are actually activity based at the moment. There are 107 community pharmacies in the borough, and the maximum being utilised is 64 for the Mars scheme. Essentially, what this will mean is that by having an overarching prime provider of the contract, they will be able to provide some management support to all pharmacies, ensuring that the quality of the provision is improved rather than us individually having to manage individual pharmacies on that basis. So option 2, detailed in the paper, is to recommend appointing a lead provider to act as a single point of contact for the council, using the most suitable provider procurement route. And that's it in a nutshell, really. So it's to request approval.
Thank you, Karen. Any comments from members present? Councillor Bamforth.
Every time. Yeah, thank you for that, Karen. I don't think it's going to impact the report or anything, but you were saying there were 64 members or 64 different organisations which are involved within this Mars. Is there a hope that we're going to get more into that? Because I think if we did get more involved into that, then it'd obviously make the service even better than what it is now. And I think it could only so there is plans to try and bring in more into that system.
Yeah, so we're acutely aware that by trying to manage each individual pharmacy, we've probably stretched our resources, to say the least. We have to go out and audit all of those pharmacies on a regular basis, and it's very resource intensive. By bringing Greater Manchester Pharmacy Service in as a prime provider, they'll provide some of that assurance of quality for us, working with all those pharmacies, and also attract other pharmacies into being able to deliver some of those services. We can see the benefits of the improving quality through this provision, and also the Greater Manchester Pharmacy Service basically takes on board the responsibility of what was the local pharmaceutical committee, so they can hold the pharmacies to account in terms of accredited training and various other things. So there's a number of benefits really, and the fact that we've got 107 pharmacies and not all of them providing some of these services gives us an option to increase take up.
Yeah. Did you want to come in, Len?
Yeah, I just wanted to support what Karen was saying, because I think there's some two big areas of benefit for us as an authority here, and for us for the services that we provide, because it is a real opportunity to improve the coverage of the service and improve access to the services provided through pharmacies. Also, it does offer us considerable administrative efficiencies in terms of our commissioning support that's required to service the background behind all the contract, and also the other services that run alongside supporting that, like legal and procurement. So going through one provider in this way really is we think is a really positive move. Thank you.
Yeah, and if it's, I mean, it's clearly a less cumbersome and less bureaucratic process what's being proposed. We just don't have the capacity for our staff to be managing individual contracts in the way that's happened. It's this is to me a no-brainer. Completely frees up a lot of staff time. So thank you for that. Ryan, you want to come back?
Yeah, apologies. Just on the back of that, yes, I agree the council doesn't have the capacity to do this. I'm just conscious that we're not now putting ourselves into a position where potentially we could come under even more cuts because obviously we've got Greater Manchester, which is looking after this. Can we confirm that because Greater Manchester are looking after this rather than us, we're not going to receive more cuts from this? Because obviously we don't have the manpower as it is, but if Greater Manchester say, if the government, should we say, turn around and say, well, Greater Manchester looking after this, we're not going to lose any more resources from the council, are we? Because I think we're strapped as it is. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it doesn't quite work like that. Okay. We're obviously going to from the summer be looking at available resources across the council for the financial year 25-26, and unless there's some huge miracle and we have a standalone budget, even after inflation and wage pressure and service pressure. So it's very unlikely. then each department again will be asked to be looking for efficiencies and cuts. And I think within public health, one of the interesting aspects of that is they do have the ability to renegotiate contracts that we put out without damaging service levels. There are opportunities to renegotiate contracts, but so nobody can say here, Ryan, that there won't be any more cuts pressures on public health, but it wouldn't specifically be connected with this decision today. Yeah. Did you want to add anything, Karen, there?
It was just to say that obviously Bolton will be the commissioner of the Greater Manchester Pharmacy Service, so we will still have a direct link to them. It's not that Greater Manchester are commissioning this, we are commissioning them.
Yeah.
Okay,
thanks for that explanation. Thank you. And so that report is approved with option 2. And we now move on to the Greater Manchester contract known as Passionate About Sexual Health.
And that's me as well. Thank
That's
you.
you, Karen.
Okay, so this one is to request delegated authority for the Director of Public Health to sign up to Memorandum of Understanding and commit associated resources to Manchester City Council, who are the lead commissioners of the Passionate About Sexual Health contract. They are currently requesting an extension of contract between June 24 to June 27. We've historically been entered into this agreement on behalf of Bolton as part of the Greater Manchester Sexual Health Network, and so each local authority has been requested to ask if they agree for this extension to be approved. There are a number of options in the paper there that you can see. Obviously, option 1 is just not agree, but obviously we would potentially have some direct implications of that because the rest of the local authorities are signed up to this extension. Option 2 is to sign up to the GM Sexual Health Network MOU along with the 9 other local authorities. We see that as providing value for money, providing the opportunity for the existing service to continue to deliver the work of the key partners across the Greater Manchester area, but also in relation to the work of the sexual health work that benefits our communities in Bolton, and obviously for us to have a standardised continuous service based on revised Greater Manchester service specification. So the impacts are, we have already got allocated funding of just over £52,000, and we are looking to continue to provide that on a recurring revenue basis. We haven't applied any uplifts to that amount of money. And essentially what we are recommending is that the ECM approve the delegated authority is provided to Bolton DPH to agree the Greater Manchester MOU, which enables Manchester City Council to act. They will act as the lead commissioner in this case and to exercise that extension from July to June 27, with an option of a further extension of 2 years should that be required. Okay. I don't know if anybody's got any specific questions around that paper.
Okay. On the basis that we're happy with the contract at the moment, how it's been running, what it's been delivering for Bolton via Manchester, no reason then not to extend that contract. So that's fine. Thank you very much again, Karen.
Thanks.
We now move on to the housing item, which is the decommissioning of the extra care service at Campbell House.
Thank you, Chair. That's me that will take that forward. I'm assuming everyone has read the paper, so I will pull out some of the key points and then conclude with the recommendations. So this report sets out proposals to decommission the extra care service at Campbell House. A joint consultation has been conducted with Bolton at Home as the landlords, and Bolton at Home will seek to close the extra care scheme as a result of the findings and decisions in today's report. We are respectful of the fact that Campbell House has provided and is still providing secure home for many of our over 54-year-olds. However, it was designed in the 1970s as a sheltered housing scheme. It is nationally recognised that we need to repurpose, rebuild and retrofit some of our 1970s sheltered housing schemes into homes which are fit for the future. So the ultimate closure of Campbell House demonstrates our aspiration to get better housing for more space for people to move into, in line with Bolton's Housing and Care and Support 10-year prospectus. We want excellent care, extra care services in Bolton, and we want it to be provided in the right way, attracting people to those schemes. So just a bit of context, Campbell House is our smallest extra care scheme of 24 units. Most modern units now are over 50, which makes the care and support model much more effective. The communal areas in the Campbell House units are extremely small, and they are bed sit style. They don't have any kitchen facilities to speak of. There are neither cooker nor hobs in those facilities. The feedback from those who visited independently is that they are very, very small flats, and the kitchen area is tiny. This is about creating the right care and housing offer, and the limitations of Campbell House being the way it is means that it's now time to close it and to move forward. We have undertaken a comprehensive 6-week consultation, and we believe we can meet all of the issues that have been outlined in the consultation. And we will do this by providing support via each of the tenants' social workers, and Bolton at Home have their own tenants advisors available to those tenants. Bolton at Home will continue to support all tenants on their rehousing options, and those displaced will be prioritised on the rehousing list once decision has been made. If the decision to approve that we'll find new homes for people as soon as possible, but our commitment is to withdraw the service by summer, and the date is dependent on how quickly we can move people. We will also pay each individual £8,100. That's a home loss payment, and that payment loss is shared between ourselves and Bolton at Home. Bolton at Home are providing the support via their on-site supported tenancy advisor. I just want to also confirm that we have regular attendance from my team, commissioners, advisors and the support staff that has been wrapped around each individual tenant to make sure they're supported as we move forward. Today, as an update, there are 13 live tenants now in Campbell House looking to be rehoused or potentially rehoused. And a number of these residents are looking to move to Lever Garden, and I really want to emphasise that, because Lever Garden is a huge opportunity for most of those tenants, and the facilities and the infrastructure around Lever Garden is exceptional. Bolton at Home have had some feedback in the last few days from tenants, and I wanted to share it, Chair, if I could, which was that they were over the moon with the support and assistance they had received to move from one of the other extra care schemes, and he was thrilled with his new property. So finally, the Executive Cabinet member is asked to approve that the Director of Adult Social Care or the Assistant Director of Strategic Commissioning to decommission the extra care service at Campbell House, please. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much, Tracy. This is the joint consultation and process between ourselves and Bolton at Home, but from the council's point of view, the report is quite clear, which is we aspire to have modern, spacious facilities that enable independent living, and Campbell House doesn't tick that box. The model there is quite outdated. So so it is a positive move, because we want our people who are living in independent accommodation like that to have good facilities. The big question is the replacement of the lost units. So can you just take us through, yourself or Rachel, in terms of the future plans for the service for Lever Gardens type schemes as we move forward into the future?
I'll hand over to Rachel if I can, Chair.
Thanks, and then I'll bring you in, Paul.
Thank you, Leader. So the discussions that we've been having as a partnership with our supported housing providers and Bolton at Home is that there's a real commitment to try and ensure that the people of Farnworth's needs continue to be met. So we will be looking at feasibility studies, which will progress once the decision's made, around what could be brought forward to support kind of the older people population. within either that site or close by in terms of the strategic needs there. We do have a housing prospectus for people with additional needs, so it will certainly fall in line with that. And as you'll see in that prospectus, it also talks about other schemes that we'd want to bring forward over the next 10 years across other bits of the parts of the borough too. We're certainly looking at options in the west of the borough. So there will be other extra care schemes developed as part of our strategic plan. With our housing providers, Bolton at Home being one of them. And specifically, there is a commitment from both the council and Bolton at Home to consider the needs within Farnworth and the repurposing of the land and the site to see what we can do, because there are many different models that we've looked at and developed.
And so that potentially does include the redevelopment of the existing site. Yeah, but
Yes,
not necessarily. It could be another more adjacent or another local site. Yeah,
that's correct. Yes.
Okay, Councillor Sanders.
Sorry, Leader, I'm having issues with my laptop. Yeah, the comments that I was going to make were very similar to what you've just asked and what Rachel has just described. The comments that I've had, apologies for the cat, the comments that I've had from residents is really why did we get to the stage where the building obviously was not necessarily fit for purpose or up to what we would class as excellent for the care that we want to provide. Why do we get to this stage when clearly it's not just happened overnight that this building's got old fashioned? It's been probably a number of years now. So that's one comment that I'd like to make, and I think it is encouraging to hear that maybe the land itself could be used maybe in the future. I think that would be very keen to see that. The other comments that I've received, obviously, and it's evident in the consultation report itself, is that people do want to live in Farnworth. This is where the family links are, the GPs, the hospitals up the road. The connections to the Farnworth Town Centre, Bolton Town Centre, it's excellent. So to not have an extra care scheme in Farnworth in this location, I think would be absolutely detrimental to residents in Farnworth. The other point that residents have made to me is about the bungalows that are adjacent. Now, of course, these are independent of Campbell House, are not connected, but I think there is some assurance that is needed to be given to residents of them bungalows that if a decision is made today, that there isn't a negative impact on their continued tenancy there, and maybe there is some concerns about antisocial behaviour or the sense of being isolated and left behind if Bolton at Home and the council decommission Campbell House. The final comment to make is really about the support that we can give, and Tracy touched on this very well. Every ounce of support needs to be given to each resident, financial, physical, even mental support. The anxiety, I can imagine, at the minute of residents is going to be terrible. So we need to make sure that we're doing that, and I am keen that that is a priority. But yeah, thank you, Chair, for now.
Yeah, I think they are all really valid points, Paul. So Tracy, and in particular, I know you were making notes, but in particular the bungalows opposite. Can we just have some clarification on that as well?
Yes, thank you, Leader and Chair. Councillor Sanders, I'll take it individually, but Rachel may want to add to my feedback as well. I think in terms of the outdated and not fit for purpose, if you will, I think it goes back to the fact that these were designed in the 1970s, and I think from a social care perspective we've moved on a great deal since the 1970s. So the sheltered housing model that we would have looked to aspire to in the 70s, early 80s is not where we want to be in 2024, and people do want to live independently with space and with the ability to cook a healthy meal, and it's about well-being, and it's about all of the things that can enable people to live well for longer in this place that they want to call home. home. And it isn't that there hasn't been investment in Campbell House, it's because it is no longer fit for that strategic model of independent living. So that would be my feedback on that. In terms of your second point around people wanting to live in Falmouth, absolutely, and I won't repeat Rachel's comments, they absolutely stand. What I would say is that we do have extra care in Falmouth, and Maxton House is rated good, and has been rated good since December 2023, so very recently. So I'm not by no means saying we don't need more, I'm just saying that there is extra care schemes that are available in that area. And Rachel has covered that in her bit a minute ago. The bungalows, I think that's an absolute critical one, that there's a project group underpinning this, as you'd expect, and I think it's one I can take back to the comms and engagement team to make sure that we develop something that goes out to those people who live in that surrounding area. I have to say, unless Rachel advises me differently, that's likely to be led from Bolton at home rather than ourselves, but we will have those conversations to make sure that that is flagged as a priority, and I'll leave that for Rachel to add to. And then the final comment around support, absolutely, there is an absolute support team around each of the individual tenants, and that isn't just whilst we identify someone for them to move, it's after as well. So there is that transition and support that's required, and whilst it doesn't alleviate the anxiety, that payment that I talked about will hopefully help them to kind of adjust and to move into their new premises, which, you know, is hopefully going to be as that statement from that last person I spoke to is much more than they expected when they moved in there. So I hope that provides some assurance, and I'll pass over to Rachel in case she wishes to add.
Yeah, nothing more to add. Just thank you, Councillor Sanders, for your comments, and we'll ensure they're taken forward in terms of ensuring people are supported through this process.
I think the comment's well made as well, which is, you know, supported housing. It's not it's unlike a lot of other services that geography doesn't really matter. I think it does matter, because people, as they get older and their needs change, do actually want to remain in the same areas that they're used to, near their friends and relatives, near their local shops, local GP practice, dare I say a local pub. They don't. It's not just a case of, oh, there's a really good unit there on the other side of town, because you lose that connectivity then. So I think that is it's a very reasonable point, Paul. Did you want to come back?
Yeah, thank you, Leader. Yeah, I just wanted to thank Tracy and Rachel for them comments. I think I suppose the decision that we take today isn't the closure of Campbell House itself. Obviously, we're just decommissioning the service potentially. I think one thing that we should recognise, though, is that this is the council pushing over that first domino, isn't it? So I think there is a direction of travel from the decision today. But yeah, the comments that have been made by officers and yourself do allay some of my concerns. But of course, I'll be with colleagues, be supporting residents through this process. But yeah, thank you.
Absolutely, and I'm sure that officers will want to work with yourself, with the ward councillors, to, you know, where you can assist with that. But you're right again. It is almost part one of a report, isn't it? Because it's decommissioning services here simply because they're based in units that we agree are no longer fit for purpose. But hopefully it will not be before long before a new report is coming in about recommissioning replacement services or additional services, as Rachel said, potentially even on that same site. So I would say to anybody watching the video, what you said is correct. It's part one of a review of local independent living services. So thank you for those contributions. So that report is approved, Susan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Item 6, the Bikeability Bolton Programme Planning. It's very diverse, this portfolio, isn't it?
It is.
Who's taking us through that?
I'm taking that, Chair. Thank you. So bikeability. The report is seeking approval to use ring-fence bikeability grant that we received through the Department of Transport to secure the programme. including the contract for the bikeability coordinator. First part of the report sets the context, including the importance of bikeability for Bolton. It's nationally recognised proficiency programme for cycling that has been in train for a number of years and enables children to learn to safe and cycle safely on local roads. The ambition over the next couple of years is to obtain a reach of 80% of Year 6 children taking part in the scheme. So essentially, the programme and the funding profile is set out in section 4 is dedicated coordinator, an instructor, and a group of freelance instructors as well. As I say, that money is through a ring-fence grant through the Department of Transport, and essentially the recommendation is that that funding is agreed for this year. For 24-25, we've delegated approval for the DPH to manage that investment going forward through future recurrent funding. Thank you, Chair.
How do we get? See, I'm a huge fan of things like this. I think it's really good. We get into schools. We encouraging and training young people to use bikes for a variety of purpose. How do we stop that drop off? So when young people are no longer young people, they stop using the bikes and do what pretty much most other people do and get in the car.
I think it's making roads safer and more accessible going forward. And I think what's outlined in the report is access to the bike scheme as well, the bike libraries. So children and families can get a very low cost, if not free, a bike that they can use, which will hopefully provide them with the support they need to make cycling part of their life.
It's good to hear, because there is a lot of criticism from Ring Fence, Department for Transport grants that we can't spend it on anything else other than creating segregated cycle lanes, and a lot of people think that they actually say it quite openly, it's a waste of money. Those arguments only ever get tackled when people see lots more cyclists around, and I think the bikeability programme is an essential part of that. You know, you're absolutely right, Suzanne. Roads need to be safe for cyclists. Cycle lanes need to be accessible, because that can only encourage more people to use them. You're right. Lynn, did you want to add something there?
Yeah, and I'd absolutely support what Suzanne said there and what you said there about this project doesn't stand on its own. It sits within a broader programme of work, not just delivered by ourselves in public health, but also in partnership and the delivery that's done in Place Directorate as well. I think I just wanted to just highlight that because we get annual funding for this and we don't know what we're getting the following year, we have to employ the coordinator post, and the post holders are on fixed term contracts. This particular post holder has been in post already for 12 months, so they will have been in post for more than 2 years at that point. I think the Constitution asks us to bring that to ECM for approval, for ongoing approval. So we just wanted to make sure that the governance was in place so that we can secure that extension for the post holder.
It's pity really, isn't it? But that's the nature of ring fence government grants that aren't guaranteed to continue, isn't it? I think that's the problem, that it's not like it's built into our revenue budget on a permanent basis.
That's right. So we're just trying to manage that, I think. Here.
Okay. Any further comments? If not, that report's approved.
I'll just stop the recording, Chair, before you go into part.
Just before you stop the recording,
just sorry,
for the benefit of anybody watching the video back, we're going to halt the recording now because there is a 7th item, which is a confidential item because it concerns staffing issues.
Thank you.